In this video, we're looking at the truth behind all of the fearful news and depressing charts that are out in crypto and Bitcoin right now. Make sure you've smashed that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. 70% of you are not subscribed right now. Make sure you do that down below and hit that bell notification icon as well. And if you do, there is an exclusive giveaway to you guys watching this channel and my brother's channel, Michael. We're giving away 2 ETH with Bybit. The link is in the top of the video description. 4 lucky winners will win half an ETH each. All you got to do is use that link. Otherwise, you won't go into the draw, and deposit at least 10 bucks onto your Bybit account. It's no KYC as well over there. All right, let's dive into today's video, looking at all of the fearful news that is going on right there. But of course, I'm going to give a beautiful hopium spin on what is to come in Bitcoin and crypto over 2022. So the first thing I want to look at is the fear and greed index. We have been tracking below 15 on the extreme fear for almost the entirety of the last 4 weeks. Now, regular viewers of the channel know that we like to buy Bitcoin when the fear and greed is at 15 or less. So 15 or under that price as a good way of dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, unlike buying all of the dips. Now, this is just a simple strategy to avoid buying Bitcoin at 69,000 and 65, 60, 55. You get the deal. Not buying it all the way down, but just buying it at extremely fearful prices. The flip side is you have to have patience and be in control of your emotions. So I'm going to do an update of that on the channel coming up soon. So the extreme fear of this, the flip side is that we are seeing good buying prices. Now, the difficulty here is the patience. How long is this going to take? And I want to look at that in a chart coming up as well. But what we can see that I really want to point out here is this has been the dollar cost averaging area, pretty much this little period here of May. If we go back just a month, we can see that over the last 30 days, there's only been 4 days which weren't buy opportunities. So we could see the 7th, 8th, and then 31st and the 1st of June. Every other day has given a buy signal at this point in time. So that's something to keep in mind as well, which is why we're not buying all of the dips. A lot of people have been buying almost every other day in 2022 because it's been fearful at times. So you can see the chart here for 2022 coming down and then buying underneath 20 and that sort of stuff. But essentially, we're just keeping it for some of the best periods. And this isn't to say that it will go lower, that it won't go lower, but there are some really good opportunities when the market is at 15 or under. That's just a figure that I've taken as I've looked back in the history of the fear and greed index. Now, this is a really, really critical, important part to have a look at in this particular chart, the fear and greed index, because you can see here for November 2018 and December 2018, and this starts to creep into January of 2019, whereas the markets, the fear and greed starts to head out of that buy zone. You can see that the market did get out of that buy zone, so it started to creep up between sort of 20 and then get all the way up to around 40, 50, even 60 as it headed into February of 2019 and also March of 2019. That's well and truly out of this extreme fear zone. But this is the price chart of that period. So we can see here, this was March, February, January of 2019, and then also November and December of 2018. That whole period was a great time to buy. But if we just only use the fear and greed, then you would be missing out on that opportunity as well to be buying at those times. So one thing you could look at is if it's extremely fearful in that period, you just set your buys, just buy on the extreme fear, 15 or under, and that's it, you're done. Otherwise, you could keep buying in that price trading range and only in that trading range. And once it busts out of the trading range, show's over, don't need to buy anymore. Now you're up 100, 200, 300% on that initial purchases. So that's the first thing definitely to pay attention to. We might begin to see the fear and greed head out of this range of 10 to 15 and maybe start to track towards 20, 30, 40, 50 on the fear and greed. However, the price could remain in this zone or potentially drop slightly into 24, 23, 22,000, which will then line us up with the 200-week moving average, which I know a lot of people are looking for as a potential support in the Bitcoin price to give us some sort of Bitcoin bear market bottom low to come in. So that's also another price target that we're looking for. Now, does it have to end up dead on the 200 weekly moving average? Of course not. We can see in the past that looking at 2020, the market did drop about 30% beneath that point, so 29% beneath the 200-week moving average. Back in 2018 and 2019, it just touched it, only went a few bucks below it here, and then touched it again and just went a few bucks above it in January and February of 2019. We take another look back in 2015. We can see that we went approximately 15 or so percent below, and then again in late 2015 we went about 13% below, and then it stayed below for quite a few weeks there, but it pretty much tracked along that 200 weekly moving average. It did come back down in April and June again, but didn't kiss that 200 weekly moving average, but it stayed below that level for some period of time, and that was all also great buying opportunities as well. Now, before I get to the time frames of Bitcoin's bottom coming up in 2022, let's take a look at the short-term time frames for the price at the moment. Now, the last 3.5 weeks, we've essentially seen Bitcoin range trade between 28,500 and basically $30,700. Now, for round numbers, people are just calling it 28,000 and 31,000, but just looking more specifically, it's something that trading in a trading range. You could be buying the bottoms, selling the tops. In terms of a trading range, I would start to tighten those up and look towards that 28,600 and about 30,700. Now, where does 28,600 come from? Well, this is the yellow line here, and you can see it's worked very, very well. I've just got it on some white bars here to make it nice and clean and easy to look at for trading purposes. You can see the lows came in really, really nicely on this low here, so that's $28,600. Now, going left, looking at history in the chart, you can see that this mid $28,000 level has been very good support in the past during the bull market and during the bull market dip that we had in May, June, July of 2021. So we just want to take it back to January 2021. You can see the low here of 28,800. That was pretty much the low for that entire correction. And then we had the next low in January. So this is where that figure is coming from. This is now 29,100. You can see the market's bounced off it. It got rejected here on the way up in December of 2020. So 28,600 is a really nice number for the market to be holding up. Now, if it doesn't hold that, then of course, I think we're definitely going to see the market come back and test the current $25,000 low. Another point for the $28,600 level is that it was almost the exact low in June of 2021. Well, it was the exact low, 28,600. Then in July, it tried to come back and test that level, couldn't make it, and we headed up into that final leg of the crypto bull market, and Bitcoin really only put in just a bit more than a doubling in that period. And then, of course, we're all the way back down to that price right now. So the 28,600 is quite critical for Bitcoin. You can see we're basically trading around this range now. Zooming in on that, it looks like the market wants to test upper levels. Now, if it does test upper levels, I'm not going to be getting too excited because there is a lot of overhead resistance. We've got 30,700. We've got 32,000. We've got the top here at another 32,500. We've got 34,500, which is the major 50% level from the all-time high to zero. And that 34,000 has also helped as support in the past before it broke down rather sharply beneath that level. Above that 34.5, if we're able to get there, we've got the underside here at about $37.5 to $38,000, which held the market up while it went on that rally into the Bitcoin conference before the market crashed after that point as well. So there's basically resistance at almost every $1,000 point on the way up. However, Bitcoin is waiting and is due for another, even if it's temporary and small, sort of rally at this point in time. And so in the past, we've seen rallies move 30, 40, 50%. We'll have a look at that as well. But if we just take it from the low and move up about 40%, brings us out to well above those targets, and that's at about $40,000. So I don't think we're going to go on a run that significant. Of course, I could be wrong, but even if that's the case, I would still see the market coming back to test some of these highs back in the 30,000s if we did get up to the $40,000 level. Now, on the underside, if it is a shorter rally and we only move up to 34,000, then it's going to be about a 20% rise from that low that we put in at 28K. So we're looking at the $28,000 low that Bitcoin has put in, and that's giving us a 20% rise into the $34,500 level. Now, if we take it from the low to the 34, that gives us the 35%, and that 40% brings us up just underneath the 38K level. So it brings us at about $36,000. So that's looking a little more reasonable from the low that we put in May to about that level. So just looking at support and resistance levels on the way up for Bitcoin in terms of price resistance before the market then finds some resistance and then comes back to test the prices that it's had on the way up. So 40% brings us out about 36,000. And anything in between that, sort of your 20% rise from that point to 40, all seems within reason for this current rally. The other little thing here is this point. So from the 15th of May, just trending that down, you can see that we've put in some pretty good resistance. The market broke above it on increased volume compared to the previous week, so that's a good sign as well. And then it's come back and sat on top of that and then put in higher lows at this point in time. You can see the closes are just getting a little higher, and maybe you can see it better on the candles. See that the bodies are just creeping up and holding above these levels here at around that $29,000 mark. So it looks like it's trying to attempt to do that, but it's really just running out of volume. So even if there is any sort of move, I don't expect it to be massive. It might sound massive. People will get excited. It'll suck a lot of people in, and then I think we'll probably come back down and test those lower levels. And that's because of the macro time frame. This stuff is looking at in terms of days and weeks, but if we go to the macro time frame, this is the timing that I've been looking at since I put this out publicly on YouTube back in February, and of course I've been looking at this a month or two prior to that as well. This is just the macro cycles for the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. Now, this doesn't have to be the 4-year cycle that a lot of people look at when it comes to the halvening. People love to look at the low to the high. I'm not looking at the low to the high. This is looking at the low to the low. This has happened pretty well the entire history of Bitcoin. Just looking at a major low to a major low. It's about 4 years from a low to a low. And I'm going to keep repeating that because a lot of people get confused and just expect the 4-year cycle to be a low to a high, or they just say that it's over and it doesn't work. This is literally just looking at lows to lows. It doesn't have to be a major significant low, but in the history, it has worked out to be a significant low in that cycle. So the low October 2010 to January 2015, that's 51 bars, and we're looking at a monthly chart. So 51 months, that's going to be 4 years and 3 months. So it's a little over that 4 years. That's okay. 47 months is the next low to low. We've got the January to the December 2018. So 1 month short of the 4 years. The next cycle is what we're currently in. So that's December 2018. And if we come out in December 2022 to give that exact 4 years, well, that's going to be December 2022, give us the 48 bars, which means we are, if we look from June, we're about 6 months away from that point. Does it mean we have to get there right on that date? Of course not. Maybe we go a month over and that gives us a 49-month cycle. Maybe we go a couple of months under and it gives us a 46-month or 45-month cycle. Either of those is okay, but the reason for this is that we've been looking for a low later in 2022. I thought at best case, maybe the end of Q2, which we only have another few weeks left, is looking like maybe we'll get it into Q3. And because we have patience, we can just keep following the chart to see what it tells us. And now, in case we're wrong and we're invalidated, that's why we've been buying Bitcoin at the 28s, the 29s, and the $30,000 level using that fear and greed plan, because you never know what the market is going to do, tomorrow or the next year. But you can work out some probabilities that it might in fact work out in this way. And that gives you the benefit to both sides. You can be getting in early and you can still wait to see what the market is going to do in case we are wrong, and it does give us that little bit of a lower price. Now, these other numbers here, the 15 months, 15 months, 15 months, these are all cycles within cycles. So I'm just looking at lows to lows within that current cycle, and these have been very, very significant lows. If we just look at even just this cycle, we obviously have the major cycle low that came in December 2018. We had the COVID crash low, March 2020. We had the bear market mid-cycle crash, which was June 2021, and they've all been exactly 15 months apart. So if I'm just expanding 15 months from the June 2021 out to 15 months, that's going to bring us to around September. So that's basically late quarter three. We could start to look at early quarter four as well, just depending on exactly where that falls. So that's why I still think we probably have another couple of months left until we find that final low. If we take a look back, we can see that we've done 19 months before on the longer end. We've done 13 months on the shorter end. There's another exact 15 months here. We've got 18, 17, and 16 months as well. So to fit within this framework of about 48 bars, that would then bring us out to approximately 18. So that would extend this current cycle within cycle. That would bring us out into a December. So that's why I'm sort of leaning towards later in quarter three now that we're starting to see what's happening with the rest of this cycle. And this is just for Bitcoin as well. And of course, I believe Bitcoin's going to be the one that holds the market and then starts to move up before the rest of the cryptos do. So there's still going to be time to be getting into those cryptos. It's just a matter of patience and just following the charts and following what the market is telling us. So at a shorter end, looking at what we've seen in the past, there has been times where it's only been 13 months. Well, that puts us in July, so a low coming in next month. At the longer end, we have 19 bars. That puts us at January 2023. And so we still have probably sometime in 2022 to get a significant low. People are going to get really pissed. They're going to be angry. The price could probably go below what people are expecting. And using this chart here, so I've just put this together, I'm expecting some sort of bottom. We're already in this territory now, so that's a good sign. Maybe we come all the way down to 20 grand, which is the old all-time high. Maybe we creep just beneath it because it's never happened before. And the beauty about markets is the psychology with it. If it's never happened before, people tend to think, well, it's never going to happen again. It just can't happen because it's never happened before. And then it just squeezes those people out. And the markets always have a way of squeezing the last drops out of any of the bulls, and before the market eventually flips. So the bulls get crushed in this zone here beneath the old all-time high, the last old all-time high, and the bears then get greedy. So the mentality of the perma bears is that we should go beneath 10 grand because we've gone underneath the old all-time high. And so they start to get greedy, and the bears never buy. They're just expecting 10 grand, 8 grand, 5 grand, 3 grand, the old previous cycle lows, and then they get squeezed out of the market because it never sees those prices, and the market reverses and starts to head back up. So the bulls get crushed, the bears get crushed. That is the best way to see a bottom, is that both of the extremes get crushed in their psychology, and then that's usually where the market flips. I don't think we're there just yet. According to this, I still think we have some time this year. And then of course the pricing as well. I don't think we've crushed the perma bears. We haven't crushed the perma bulls yet, and the bears are still getting greedy, and I don't think they're going to get crushed just yet. You can see it in the comments section. A lot of people just typing stuff like, I'm going to come back when Bitcoin's at 10,000 or 8,000. I think these people are going to be very surprised that we probably don't get there, and they'll be left waiting and wondering why it never got there, because they were told it should have gone to 10,000 or $6,000, and it never ends up getting there. So having this set idea on a price is just as stupid in a bear market as it is in a bull market, where you can already see what happened in the bull market. People were expecting 100,000 or 200,000, and it never got there. The same thing, exact same thing, psychologically speaking, will happen in the bear market, and those people will get crushed and then have to catch up on the way up, and then that's what will then get the prices to start to escalate pretty quickly out of those lows and potentially just go into a trading range where we sort of bounce out of that or we get some sort of low like this where we just bounce out of that low and they never get their chance to buy at a lower price. So provided you haven't blown all of your capital buying all of these dips, listening to the perma bulls on YouTube and Twitter and just buying up every single dip that you can possibly see, and maybe you've gone in nice and heavy at these lows using just something so simple like the fear and greed plan here, even though the price can go lower than where it currently is, but you haven't blown your load doing what all the other perma bulls do in this part here and YouTube and Twitter, then you're not going to be too phased with what happens over the next 3 to 6 months, even if the price just hangs out and does nothing and gets even quieter and more boring and then comes back to test this old 200-week moving average, maybe scare out the people in underneath $18,000, anything like that. You're not going to be too concerned with what happens next, because these are just going to give better entry opportunities for the Bitcoin position. And then we start to see Bitcoin potentially trend sideways through 2023 and then start to accumulate and work its way higher again into later 2023, 2024, which then brings on the next stage, which is the altcoin seasons. And then we have to wait a little while longer for the altcoins as well. I wouldn't be too concerned with altcoins just yet. We still haven't seen anything developed with Bitcoin, so no need to blow all that hard-earned money on altcoins as well, waiting to get these lower prices. Still plenty of time for that. I'll do an update for that on the channel as well. Just stay tuned to this, and also the time frame that we're looking at here for Bitcoin. In the meantime, check out the link in the top of the video description for Bybit. That's the exclusive giveaway that we have coming up in just 3 days. Entries close to ETH. We're giving away 4 lucky winners, half an ETH each, using that exclusive link down there. No other channel has it, just us here on my channel and Michael's channel. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, we'll see you on Monday for our weekly group call with the members. TIA Premium, TIA Lite is down there as well. Patreon link. See you guys at the next video. Until then, have more fun to get more done.